Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today I bring in Keith Mander. Hey Keith, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Excellent. So Keith, do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I've been on Amazon for about 4 years. I was introduced by a friend when I was out living in Bali. I was in Bali for about 5 years as well. And a friend there was doing Amazon. I think he learned it through one of the major courses, ASM perhaps. And then he wanted to kind of teach a few of his buddies. So we all came together in a kind of classroom setup in a co-working space. And I think there was a group of about 10 of us. And we met up every week for a while and went through all the kind of the classic materials and training and stuff. And then we went all off and did our own thing. And most of us have done pretty well, actually, and some extremely well, and then some never really got into it. And then I kind of just plodded along with it, and now it's become my main focus. So I used to do some other online marketing kind of activities, affiliate marketing, etc., which certainly have helped give you kind of the fundamentals for how Amazon works as well, which is all about kind of keywords and all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, now I've got 6 products, I believe, across 2 brands. And many of those products have multiple variations. And I also have some experience in software development. So I don't code myself. I have no actual technical skill at all, really. But I have experience working with developers and engineers. So at this point, we now have 2 developers full-time in our payroll, and they have been working on building out tools to help our own business fundamentally first, to automate processes, to make things more streamlined, to kind of bring data to my attention, etc. And now looking at either developing kind of software for other Amazon sellers, primarily larger sellers, or potentially spinning one out into kind of a SaaS app that people can subscribe to. Kind of experimenting a bit more with that, because I actually enjoy that more than the product side of the business, in all honesty. So yeah, I'm just kind of experimenting a little bit, and also spending actually a lot of time kind of offline and trying to remove myself from the business and remove stresses and things like that.
Makes sense. So what made you go the route of developing your own software? Obviously, there's a lot of software out there. You could use different third parties. Are there any specific reasons behind hiring 2 engineers opposed to getting 2 or 3 different pieces of software that covers most of it and then getting some software in between? Or is this before software got more sophisticated, or what?
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. And I often ask myself the same thing, because a lot of what I've done is perhaps a bit overkill, right? Because my business is not actually that large. So a lot of the software I have to streamline some processes could actually be done in a more manual way, either with the help of a VA or just doing it yourself in Excel or any of that kind of thing. But back to your question, I think it's more about I want things very specific to my own needs. And I think often with software, you have to kind of compromise, and it doesn't, it might have one missing feature that they're never going to develop because it's very specific to your own needs. It doesn't address the general market that they have, their user base. So you might get to points of frustration. And also, if you're using multiple pieces of software, they're not going to talk to each other. So for an example of that is that, in our software, we have just one database with absolutely everything in. We just collect all the data from Amazon API, every order, everything basically. And then all of our other tools can communicate to it. We also have, a piece of software that looks at the inventory at our warehouse, our 3PL, what's at Amazon, so we can do some like inventory forecasting. And then we have a PO builder, so I just click a couple of buttons and it will generate a PO and spit that out to our supplier. I get inventory counts I send to my supplier every day, actually, to kind of fill them in. And it's all kind of integrated, and I don't think you could ever really achieve that with commercial stuff. And then back to your other point, you're very right that when I first started doing this, there was less out there. So there was a bit more of a need. Now it's a case of you certainly can get by with everything out there. What I've done is a bit more extreme.
Yeah. And do you do the same with like your PPC and stuff, or do you use third-party software?
Yeah, actually, PPC is one area that I've not done my own software for yet. So I dabbled a lot with PrestaZone. I thought that was pretty good. And just now I'm trying out a new one called Perpetua, which has all the buzzwords in their marketing. So using machine learning and all that jazz. I'm pretty happy with it so far, but I would like to develop my own. I think it can be automated to a large extent because there are some fundamental rules that govern how it can operate in terms of running the search terms report and taking out keywords, moving them around, adjusting bids in real time to your target ACoS. So all of that can be automated, but still there is perhaps room for manual input. I'm sure you would agree to that based on.
Well, we've got an agency that does the same. So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have client front end software, but it's agency software that we have. But we're always on development, and yeah, so there's some difficult aspects and tasks and the meet in the requirements of the API and stuff like that. There's still, I'm a big believer. You can't just rely on AI independently. It has to be overseen, even on a daily basis. But there are a lot of mechanisms that can be used in terms of automation, like what you said. But we are not at the stage where we can go push and go and everything is just run up by AI. That we're not there yet. We're a long way off. But I think a few years we can start moving in that direction for sure. So tell me about the marketing side for yourself. Go on. You just going to say something.
Marketing, did you say?
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing now? I imagine that if you're doing like off Amazon marketing and the level of tracking and stuff that you must be doing, and scripts and code that you're writing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, I do absolutely zero off Amazon marketing.
Really? Okay.
So I do PPC, yeah, but that's about it. Yeah, nothing at all. I'm a bit lazy in a sense, or at least I'm kind of leveraged towards the activities that I feel have the biggest output for the input. Yeah. So, of course, it's risky, and there's a lot of things I should be doing, but I just haven't got around to it. So an example of that also would be like launching in other markets. So at the moment I just do US. I did dabble with the UK just for a short while, but primarily I'm on just the US, and I will continue to do so. It does put all your eggs in one basket, but at the same level, there's a lot of leverage that I can get out of it because I'm shipping full containers to Amazon in the US, and to continue that and to continue building out existing products with my existing suppliers is kind of the approach that I'm taking, because it's less risky and again gives you leverage with the supplier, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just the approach that I take, just kind of knowing what are the key levers, and kind of dialing those up rather than spreading myself thin by looking at doing kind of advertising off Amazon.
Yeah, so that's just smart business. It's like you can put laziness into being laser focused. It depends how you look at it. That's like the 80-20 rule. You're focusing, US is the biggest market. Like the leverage on the same batch of products that you got in the UK, the sales are probably 1/3 or less. Am I guessing right? So it makes sense with all the processes you've got in place.
Yeah, it was much
the US flowing, And then you got to look at your external marketing. What brings you the benefits? Are we talking 20% of your benefits come off of Amazon, 80% on Amazon? And the lifestyle that you try and live anyway, you don't strike me as you want to be at the coalface 7 days a week, 12 hours in front of the computer getting a Microsoft tan, so.
Yeah, that's spot on. It's interesting that. I think also cash flow is a big part of this business and the pains that we all experience. So a big part of it was just turning over your cash. So if you go into other markets and things like that, then you're going to turn over that cash at a slower rate. So that was one of the major strategic reasonings that I had for it as well. But you're right. It's all about focus, and that is an important virtue to have.
So what do you look for in a product then? So when it's in terms of turnover for cash, what do you study for? What's your return on investment percentages and stuff you look at?
Not necessarily specific numbers or something. It's all really like a gut feeling at the end. You go through all the stuff of like having a spreadsheet with kind of predicting out the costs of a product and looking at the profit you're going to make on a kind of per unit basis, and having a feel for like how many units you could probably sell. And my gut thing is usually like I just want to make $100, $200 profit per day per product.
Yeah.
Otherwise I won't launch it or get into that space. So that's what kind of I start off first with. And then, I look at like, okay, how much is cash would be involved in filling up a container worth and when you're going to get that back and stuff. But I don't really drill down into building it onto like cash flow forecasting. I probably should. I'm a bit bad at that. But just some just general kind of feelings and calculations is usually where I start off with. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So coming on to, you've bought a ticket for Seller Sessions Live. What brought you to Seller Sessions Live? What do you want to get out of it? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so I've been to a number of events actually over the years. So I've been to official Amazon events in New Orleans and Seattle just recently. And then I'm part of the MDS forum group, $1 Million Sellers, and they've had some meetups.
I'm doing a call with them on Wednesday, I think.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it's a very tight community and very smart people. So that's been awesome. And they've had some real world events, which have been really good. So anyway, I'm just kind of curious to see what's going on more so in the UK. I don't live in the UK anymore, but it's where I'm from. So I'm just kind of interested to tap into what's going on there. And you always learn something. I've been to some events which have been kind of duds in a way, but nevertheless, you can just sit there and you will get something out of it, no doubt. So I'm quite happy to always go to these things, and to have something that's in my home turf as such would be awesome. And yeah, so I'm quite curious. Anything specific? I'm doing a lot, and I was starting at least to dabble with messenger bots. Again, like I built a lot of software to automate the process. So for example, I have something that can do real-time validation of Amazon order IDs, and also real-time distribution of PayPal rebates, or however we want to do the rebates. So it's all completely automated. So the customer just drops in their order ID, we check it, and they drop in a PayPal, and they get the kind of the refund straight away. So that's interesting, but I haven't actually put it into practice so much yet. So I want to obviously just hear more about what people are up to with that, which is certainly like the hot topic of today, right? So I'm sure it will come up in the conference. Yeah, no,
Paul will be covering it, and I'm sure that Anthony Lee's going to be covering some bot stuff from a different perspective as well. Is there anything you want to add before we shoot off?
No, I think that's it. It's quite an interesting activity that I did just recently, is that I took basically 3 weeks off from work, and which was a little scary, especially last week where I was literally like in the wilderness with zero cell coverage, internet possibility. So it was good to have that in. This is kind of a Tim Ferriss type of thing as well. He mentions it in the book. That you take some time out, put it in your calendar for like 6 months ahead, and you allow yourself to build things to get yourself out of the business. And then also now I'm come back and I can see what failed, right? And I can build around that. So just a passing thought, more about like business philosophy, I guess, is just to, it's very easy if you're always putting out fires to allow yourself to be that firefighter. But if you can find ways to remove yourself and to experiment with like understanding how to improve things, then it's a really good activity. So I'd highly recommend that. And the best way to do it is in a situation where you literally can't use the internet. So if you're in the middle of nowhere,
you get a complete cut off. So you'll get away from technology basically, and just get a little bit more air to your brain instead of having the phone shoved in your face.
It's about having a break, but also then by fixing things, and now when I'm back as well, that going forward I'm less involved in all that firefighting. Like it's all about the future too. It's not just about the time that you're away. So it's the time away is just like forces you to step back and actually work on the business rather than in the business, etc.
Sounds good. Guys, thanks for joining us. We've got a handful of general mission tickets remaining. Pop over to sellersessions.com/live and grab one of those. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.